A master narcissist, H.G. Tudor, says. Narcissistic design. Hunting capability and mechanism. We are adept at sniffing out our prey. We are able to identify those that will be of little use to us and ignoring them. We discern those who are obstructive and avoid them. We have an instinctive ability to target those who serve our purposes with the greatest effectiveness. Those who will provide us with copious amounts of fuel, those who will provide the traits that we need to steal for our own construct in order to draw others to us as to keep the creature at bay. Those who will give us the additional benefits which we regard as our entitlement, access to your resources for our sole use. The lesser latches onto those who serve his kind once they come too close to him. Like a predator noticing the scent of a potential victim, he is alerted to your presence and makes his move, swift and immediate. A creature of instinct, he knows when there is a victim who will suit his purposes nearby and will go after that person. They may not be the best suited to his purposes, but that does not matter, for now. He senses prey and will bring down this victim and attach himself to them, leeching the fuel from them until it is near empty, and he will then discard and move to the next victim he has sniffed out and who is nearby. The lesser will lurk in the most proven hunting grounds. He does not want to venture too far away. He does not want to expend too much energy stalking that prey and wearing it down. He looks for victims who are easily in reach, who he can bring down without much effort and then sink his fangs into with ease. It might be that a more suitable, a more fueling victim, is a little distance away, but the lesser goes for what is in front of him. He will not spend time seeking out a better victim but slays what is nearest and then moves on to the next nearest and so forth. Thus the lesser hunts in an aggressive and volatile manner. He must seduce his victims quickly for fear of the beast within making itself known too soon and frightening his prey away. He has to camouflage his own creature and is not able to do it for too long. The lesser will want low-hanging fruit. He is not interested in those that might pose a challenge and thus provide more rewarding fuel. He will take fuel from his primary source victims any way he can. You may liken it to someone mind-sweeping for drinks at a party. Rather than waiting to find the bottle of Grey Goose vodka hidden by the host at the back of a cupboard, the lesser will drink the dregs of a can of beer, then swig what remains from the nearest bottle of wine and thus move from receptacle to receptacle, feasting and draining. The midrange is more discerning. He knows what he is attracted to and he will spend longer searching for it. He has reasonable intelligence, guile and ability, and thus he will put this to use in order to find the more appropriate victim for him. He can pass over somebody who might be suitable but is not entirely satisfactory. Whereas the lesser would have snatched hold of that victim, sniffing out that person's reasonable suitability, a number of the traits he requires being met, but not all. The midrange is content to stalk a little longer. The midrange makes considerable use of watching from afar as he evaluates the applicability of his prospective prey. He observes, regards and reflects. He does not have the out-and-out confidence to go for the kill straight away like the greater, nor is he pushed by the sense of urgency and hunger which afflicts the lesser. He has some control and he will use this to ensure his appliances, especially those which become the primary source, are the better ones. He of course is not of limitless energy, and there comes a time when necessity becomes the driver for interaction and he must make his choice, but it is not without consideration and application to those traits, both generic to the empathic individual and specific to the type of victim which best accords with his own needs. The midrange recognizes that there is a type of person he is drawn to, although he does not know why this is. He is able to discern those traits and characteristics which serve him best, and as a consequence it is those that he will apply some time to achieving. He recognizes that certain traits in people afford him greater satisfaction, and therefore he will look for those without knowing the true reason he does so. The midrange will apply some methodology to the hunt for his prey, but there is always the pressure of need, which means that it may not be as ideal as he might like. Continuing the mind-sweeping analogy, the midrange would not bother to sup the dregs from bottles and glasses at the part but spend time thinking about where the good stuff might be stashed. He will locate 4 cans of beer in the fridge. There might be greater rewards elsewhere, but he is satisfied with this reasonable degree of quality that he has identified and does not want to risk letting his prize disappear as he gambles on trying to find something superior and failing. The greater revels in the hunt. The identification of the choicest victim is crucial to him. Yes, there may be times when necessity brings about the imposition of a less desirable, yet still functional, victim, but when the conditions are apt, there is no fuel crisis and we are preparing for discard and are therefore in control of our environment, the greater will spend time identifying those who exhibit many of the generic and specific traits that will serve him best. Indeed, the greater will have several prospects in hand as he mines information about these prospects, assesses and evaluates it. Once satisfied that the signs and indications are good, he will make his move and engage to ascertain that his initial intelligence remains good. If it is, and it usually is, he will then move in for the kill. Unlike the lesser who will go for the jugular and bring his victim down swiftly and promptly, the greater will utilize the intelligence that he has gathered in order to mesmerize, charm and hypnotize his victim. With dedicated application, the greater will readily disarm his victim, disable any self-defense which may exist and have the victim exactly where he wants him or her. Like a viper, he will strike suddenly and with lightning speed. He will be attached to the victim, fangs sunk deep, and then the draining will begin as the fuel pumps from the unwitting victim to be sucked up by the greater. The greater knows what he wants and he will stalk different hunting grounds in order to achieve what he wants. He has the ability and the energy to sustain a longer hunt, or a shorter hunt where the victim may prove to be more challenging. Of course, if a victim supplies the necessary traits and can be ensnared with ease, the greater will also take this low-hanging fruit. He is no fool. However, he is undeterred by the higher hanging fruit, that which is more succulent and nourishing in terms of fuel. He knows where to find the best victims. That is why he operates in several hunting grounds, and he also is the most able of the three schools of narcissists to identify the traits in his victims. Whilst the lesser sense by instinct, the mid-range knows what works for him but does not know why, the greater knows precisely what he wants. He also knows how these various traits manifest in his victims. He understands what to look for, what to see, what to listen out for, and once he has seen the indicators, he is able to satisfy himself that the appropriate traits exist within this target. He will then lock on, and only in the most extreme of cases will he be prevented from conquering this target. The reward is too tantalizing, his skill set too great, and the lure of such a delicious victim proves too great for him to resist, challenging or not. Once those fangs have sunk into the victim and the fuel is drawn, whether it is a lesser, mid-range or greater, we will remain until it comes time to identify the next prey.